Now let's look at Limpopo paper 1 mid-year examination. Now this was the first question. Let's quickly look at the first question, how you should have solved it. Now we are looking at 1.1, which was the basic of them all. 1.1, they are saying we have x squared minus 3x equal to 10. Such questions, before you start, you need to know that you need to place it in standard form. So in standard form, we'll have x squared minus 3x minus 10 equal to 0. So at the back of your mind, you need to ask yourself, what are the factors of 10? But these numbers, when I add or subtract them, they must give me negative of 3. So you quickly grapple around with numbers. So the factors of 10 is 2, and we also have 5. And if you check these numbers, they are closer to one another to such an extent that when you subtract or add them, they will give you negative of 3. So you will have your factors as x this side and x this side, and then you'll have a 5, you'll also have 2. Then the biggest factor should acquire the middle sign, or the sign that is located at b. So you'll have this one as positive. I meant to say negative, then also this one should be positive. So now you quickly solve for x. Your x will be, the value of x will be negative 2, or x will be positive of 5. Then secondly, 1.1.2, the minute you see it, a question saying round off to two decimal digits, you must just know that somewhere, somehow, you will have to use quadratic formula, or you will use formula. You are going to have decimal numbers. So what do you do in this particular case? You are going to deploy a formula. Our formula will be, we know that we have quadratic formula, which is x equal to negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac, all divided by 2a. This is the quadratic formula. So from this, when using the quadratic formula, you are quickly going to substitute. Let's quickly rewrite the equation. This is 3x squared plus 2x minus 6 equal to 0. So this is the coefficient of x squared, which is a. This is the coefficient of x, which is b. This is a constant, which is c. This one is the value of c. So now we are quickly going to substitute here. We are going to have, let me try to erase the first one here. Let me try to erase the first one here. We are quickly going to have pardon me for a minute. So now, in solving this question, you'll have x equal to, let's quickly substitute. It's x equal to negative into positive 2 plus or minus the square root of the value of b, it's 2, you square it, minus 4, the value of a, which is positive 3, the value of c, which is negative of 6. This one already, it was in standard form, so you divide everything by 2 into positive of 3. Then we'll have x equal to negative 2 plus or minus. The minute you simplify what you have inside the radical sign, let me punch in my calculator, you will remain with 76 all divided by 6. So ultimately, when you are at this particular step, you separate everything. You separate it into 2. You'll have x equal to negative 2 plus 76, the square root of 76 all divided by 6, or x equal to -2 minus the square root of 76 all divided by 6. So when you are done with this, you quickly write your answers in decimal formats. You will have your answer as -1, 2, -1, 12 when you calculate, or x equal to -1, 79. I hope everything makes sense to you. So now, in solving number 1.1.3, this one, it's called a Sard's equation. They are called Sard's equation. I'm talking about this question, which is worth 5 marks. We are having the square root of 4x minus 3. This is 1.1.4. I meant to say 1.1.3, sorry. This is the square root of 4x minus 3 all equal to 2x minus 3. So we are supposed to solve this problem. So such a problem, already the steps are simple. First of all, you isolate the side. So let's quickly isolate the side. We isolate the side so that at the end of the day, we get to have something that we are familiar with, which is a quadratic equation. You'll see the left-hand side will change. The right-hand side will translate to a quadratic expression. So we will remain with 4x minus 3 equal to 2x minus 3 all squared. So now you are going to expand the the right hand side, wherein we will remain with 4x squared, because you will say 2x all exponent 2, which will give you 4x squared. Then you'll come back and say 2 multiplied by 2x multiplied by negative of 3, which gives us 2 multiplied by 2, it's 4, multiplied by negative of 3, which gives us 12. So we are going to have negative of 12x. And thereafter we have plus 9, because we'll have negative 9 all squared. Then equal to 4x minus 3. The reason why I've swapped the sides, it's because I want the exponent 2 to be on the left hand side so that it becomes easy for me to solve. Then from this we'll have 4x squared. Then we'll say negative 12x. We try to group the like terms. Negative 12x minus 4x. Negative 12x minus 4x, which gives us negative 16x. Then we say 9 plus 3, which gives us positive of 12. We equate everything to 0. Then now we quickly try to simplify this thing. We divide both sides by 4. Divide both sides by 4. With a 4, we will remain with x squared minus 4x plus 3 to give us a 0. Then we quickly factorize. We look for factors. At the end of the day, we want values of x. This will be x, this one will be x. So we look for numbers that we can multiply to give us positive of 3, but when we add or subtract them, they should give us negative 4. So these two numbers should be closer to each other. It should be negative and negative, because at the end of the day, we need to have a negative value. So which two numbers are those? It should be 3, and also it should be 1. Those are the factors of positive of 3. So now the values of x will have x equal to 3 or x equal to 1. So now you need to take these values, all of them, you try to test them. You want to see which one should be disputed. You want to see which one does not form part of what we are dealing with here. So to dispute, you need to take these values, you place them inside the original equation. When you test, you will discover that only x equal to 3 agrees with the equation. Therefore, you will conclude by saying x is not equal to 1, but x is equal to positive root of 3. Or you can simply say x equal to 1 is not applicable. It's not part of the solution. Simple as that. So now let's quickly move on to other questions. Hope you have paused the video, you've copied, or you made an understanding of everything. So now let's quickly look at 1.1.4. 1.1.4, if you quickly check, we are dealing with inequalities. We are having x squared minus 2x minus 3 less than 0. So with this one, the first step amongst many things, just ignore the inequality sign. Think of this thing as if you are dealing with quadratic equation. First of all, you need to ask, what are the factors of negative root of 3, wherein when I add or subtract them, they give me negative root of 2. So those factors are simple factors. It's just we will have x this side, we'll have x this side, we'll have in terms of signs, the factors of 3, it's what is 3 and 1. Then in terms of signs, at the end of the day, remember we want to have a negative, right? So for us to have a negative, positive multiplied by positive will give us positive. Positive multiplied by negative will give us negative. So this is what we need. We need to have something of this nature so that at the end of the day, we have a negative. So what do we do? The biggest factor should take the sign that is found on the coefficient of x. So we will have this one as what? A negative root of 3. This one will have positive root of 1. I hope you are following. So now you try to find what we call the critical points or the critical values. These are not the values of x, are just the critical points. So we'll have x equal to 3 or x equal to 1. You are just solving for the critical values. These are not values of x. When you are done with this, you need to deploy a number line. Let's quickly deploy our number line. Then after deploying the number line, this has to be negative 1. Then when you deploy the number line, this will be negative 1, this will be a positive of 3. Then you check. You are going to draw your circles like this. Inside, you do not shade them because the values of x or the critical values are not part of the solution, but we are using them to get to the solution. So this is what you do. You are going to substitute a number that is greater than this critical value here. So let's say we substitute 4. We'll have 4 squared minus 2 into 4 minus 3. We want to check as to whether we'll get a positive value or a negative value. Remember, when they say less than 0, they mean they should be a negative number on that regard. So we are quickly going to solve this thing. We are going to remain with what? We will have 16 minus 8 minus 3. This will ultimately leave us with a positive this side. And these sides, they alternate. If this side is positive, if it is a quadratic inequality of this nature, if this side is positive, this side it will be negative, then this side will be positive. So when you locate or when you want to find the solution, you go where it says negative, because the inequality symbol from the original equation, it says less than 0. So you'll simply say, therefore, the value of x is what? The value of x will be between two sets of values of x will have negative 1 less than x and is less than positive 3. This is the value of x. This is the solution. This one. I hope you are following up to this point. So now we are quickly rushing to 1.1.5. 1.1.5, let's quickly look at 1.1.5. We have to erase this so that we get enough space. Sorry. 1.1.5, we had something of this nature. Now we are dealing with 1.1.5 from the question paper, which was 10 exponent 2x equal to 5 divided by 2 exponent negative 2x plus 120 into 4 exponent negative x exponent negative 1. So we are supposed to solve this problem. So with regards to this one, these are just basic laws of exponents. So we will check. If you look at 10, 10 is not a number that you can write in terms of a base and an exponent, but we deploy prime numbers. We can safely deploy prime numbers onto it, thereby wherein we'll write it as 5 multiplied by 2 exponent 2x equal to then 5 multiplied by. Remember, when you are having 1 divided by a, this thing can be written as a exponent negative 1. Now we are having a negative in the denominator. When it goes to form part of the numerator, it will be positive. So we will end up with 5 multiplied by 2 exponent 2x plus 120 into, now we are having a 4 exponent negative x multiplied by negative 1. So we can safely change this one to, for now, let's just write it as 4 exponent x. Then when we are done with this, each base here must be allocated an exponent. So we'll have 5 exponent 2x multiplied by 2 exponent 2x equal to 5 multiplied by 2 exponent 2x plus 120 multiplied by 2 exponent 2x. The reason why I'm changing this one to 2 exponent 2x is because at the end of the day, I want this thing to be in such a manner that I'll be able to take out a common factor. And when I check already, the common factor is there on both sides, or on both ends. Then let's look at the right hand side. What is the common factor? The common factor is 2 exponent 2x. You take it out, then you'll have 5 plus 120. Then you go back to the right hand side, I mean the left hand side, wherein you'll have 5 exponent 2x multiplied by 2 exponent 2x. Then when we move on quickly, we realize that these two here, they will divide each other. You will end up remaining with, 5 exponent 2x equal to 125, because 5 plus 120 is 125. So you ask yourself, what is 125 in terms of a base and an exponent? We'll have 5 exponent 2x equal to 5 exponent of 3. Then we have the same base, so we'll drop the exponent. You'll have 2x equal to positive of 3. So what is the value of x? It's just positive 3 divided by 2. Simple as that. So now we are done with that problem. Then let's quickly go to 1.2, which was simultaneous equation. Simultaneous equation, one of the easiest. We are having x minus 2y equal to 1 and x squared minus 2xy plus y squared minus 9 equal to 0. So with this one, you have to generate another equation. Remember, you can just label this one as equation 1, you label this one as equation 2. So you have to generate a third equation from the simplest one. So according to this information, the simplest one, it's x minus 2y equal to 1. So we'll have x equal to 1 plus 2y. You call it equation number. I hope you understand. So now we go on further to say, okay, we substitute now. We are going to substitute. We'll just say substitute equation number 3 inside equation number 2, the complicated one. So we will simply have 1 plus 2y squared minus 2 into 1 plus 2y multiplied by y plus y squared minus 9 equal to 0. You equate everything to 0. Then from this, you quickly simplify. As you are simplifying, you will discover that you will have 4y squared. You'll have 4y squared plus 4y plus 1 minus 2y minus 2y minus 2y, minus 2y minus 4y squared plus y squared minus 9 equal to 0. Then subsequent to that, we are moving on to this spot due to space constraints. We are quickly going to simplify this thing, thereby grouping the like terms. If you check, we are having 4y squared, 4y squared this side. So those things will at some point subtract one another. So we do not need those things. And so because we do not need those things, we'll end up with y squared plus 2y minus 8. This is after simplification or grouping of like terms. So now we quickly factorize. What are the factors of 8? Wherein when you subtract or add them, they will give you 2. So those two factors should be closer to one another. So we'll have y. Factors of 8, it's 8 and 1, it's 4 and 2. So we'll just deploy 2, will also deploy 4 this side. So this side will have plus, this side will have negative because the bigger factor must take the sign that is found on B. So we'll have y equal to 2 or y equal to negative 4. So subsequent to that, we are quickly going to take these things, we substitute them inside the first equation. So we will say the first or third, the choice is yours. So we'll say x equal to 1 plus 2 into 2 or x equal to 1 plus 2 into negative 4 to find those values of x. So the first value of x now here will just be 5, or the second one will be 1 minus 6. I mean to say 1 minus 8, which will give us negative of 7. So with this being said, we are having those values of x. We are having